the other thing I thought about was if he would have been hysterical, and if it would have been that serious, and he would have wanted to go to 121.5, if there had been a minor emergency at that time, he might not have been able to. But there's still other frequencies, plenty of other frequencies.
Well, there's plenty of other frequencies as right now. Let me give you a for instance. At least for a couple of minutes, okay? At least for a couple of minutes, you're sitting there directing traffic. You're an air traffic controller, okay?
Mm-hmm.
A guy calls up and starts talking about a UFO. I don't think you're going to have the presence of mind to say, okay, you switch to 132.2, okay?
Yeah.
You switch to my backup frequency here. Eventually you'd do that, particularly if this was going on for a while, but but I think it might take you a couple of minutes because you'd be sitting there saying, what the hell is going on?
Yeah.
And who is this other airplane? See, your main concern would be a guy calls up, says, I'm at 35,000 feet. Well, you know that. He's not going to tell you that. He says, I've got an airplane out here. And that airplane must have been close enough to bother him.
Mm-hmm.
Again, from my personal experience, I see airplanes all the time.
Yeah, you don't see them very long unless you're on course with them.
That's right, but big deal, okay?
Mm-hmm.
And maybe I am on course with them, but again, big deal. Okay. Nowadays, I'm looking at my TCAS if the guy seems close, and I'm going to see him on my TCAS. But I'm looking out there. This guy is fairly close. He's not on my TCAS. And there may be other aspects to this, okay?
Yeah.
I get on the radio and I'm talking to these people on the ground. They say, we don't have anybody up there. And I say, well, I'm looking right at it. Okay? And pretty soon we've got a serious problem. I mean, air traffic control has got a monumentally serious problem. Are you with me?
Yeah.
This is no small thing. And Matt is making this somehow, everything I'm telling you, Francis, Matt just slides right by it. Follow me?
Yeah.
Okay. Now, where we go with this, I don't know. As I say, I think we're not under a great press of time. Between our ineptitude as UFO researchers, and I'll certainly take part of the blame for this, and the FAA doing a tap dance, time is no longer of the essence. So what I'm going to try to do is put on paper everything I'm telling you on the phone now. And relying on this tape, although I will not refer to the tape, I'm going to refer to your notes.
Okay.
Okay? At some point in this, when we've developed that, I think we need to run it by Taylor. Okay? He may have other angles. He may even know some people that work in the other center, or he may have some way to very quietly contact somebody over there. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
And his supervisor starts to become fairly important, but mind you, as you pointed out, he's just a guy that heard something on the phone.
Mm-hmm.
All right? And his supervisor, trust me, his supervisor has heard from Matt.
Yeah, that'd be the only one Matt would be able to contact, really.
That's it. That's the only one.
But you know, if he's any guy at all, though, he'd want to protect a guy that was right. UFO or no UFO.
Yes, nobody's going to shove this guy around, but I can easily see a little meeting. You know, mind you, Matt is a guy who can remember who the tower operator is, and even guys who are not the tower chief, and even the tower operator at some dinky place.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? This guy, Matt, knows everybody. And in fact, it sounds to me like it's his job to know everybody.
You notice how he chooses each word when he talks?
Very bright guy.
He is.
As a taxpayer, I feel good. This is no dope.
Matlock would have a problem with this guy.
This is a guy who's been around, okay? And it's his, let me tell you his job. I just know what his job is. His job is to get in there, find out what really happened. I mean, in typical instances of screw-ups. And then his job is to lawyer this to make the FAA look good.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? So this is a guy who stood up and defended guys that he knows are totally incompetent, dangers to society. So he's an investigator and a lawyer. Well, look, that's about all I got on my mind, but I did want to get back to you, and I want to say again, I'm just so used to amateur hour in this UFO investigation field, and what you've been doing is so good, you know? And I keep trying to get out of UFOs.
We all do.
But without too much success.
It's kind of hard, isn't it?
But let me just proceed with a written commentary on this case. And I'm afraid that we got a case that we're never going to be able to establish, okay? But whatever, I do want to put something on paper for you.
Well, I appreciate that. I appreciate what you've been doing. I guess I would have to say you and Mark have done me more good than anybody else. And I talked to Walt briefly about it the other day, and to Walt, it's just another case, and he's willing to accept it as a non-case too. It's just typical. But he will defend to the end anything that's any red ball of light that's seen in Florida. He will defend it. Which, you know, I'm not impressed with lights in the sky anymore. I mean, I've been in this 32 years. I'm 51 years old, and when someone tells me they saw a ball of light, I just don't pay that much attention anymore.
Well, nor do I, and we shouldn't. This
Heineck tried to tell us this a long time ago.
The field has matured, even if some of the individuals in it haven't. But I don't know where we go with this thing, and
well, we might get a break. We might just get a break. You never know. If we have to, we can tell Matt that we've got people up there that monitor aircraft frequencies. We may be able to bluff him in some way. I can't now because my 50-foot tower blew down, but I used to be able to pick up Indy Center all the time.
I tell you what, again, I'm just, like I say, I rolled in last night. I didn't even hear the whole tape last night. Maybe that when I sit down and start typing, I'll have second thoughts about all this.
Uh-huh.
But one thing that we can do and ought to do, I think, right now as I'm talking to you, is get back to Matt and ask him some of these questions about what was the airplane that, what was the ultimate identification of that airplane? Do you understand how important that is to ATC?
Oh, yeah.
They had an airplane up there that they didn't know about.
And he would still chew me up and spit me out, so it needs to be somebody that would know any rebuttal that he puts out is right or wrong,
Well, that could be, but I'd also sort of suggest putting it in writing.
Yeah, that's a good idea, too. That's a good idea.
At this point in the game, you've had your chats.
For some reason, he feels obligated to work with us on this. I don't know how official he thinks we are, but the minute he finds out who we are, he may just drop the whole thing.
No, wait a minute. He's heard from the Airline Pilots Association, okay? He doesn't know who you are. You're civilians, but you don't sound crazy, okay? Somebody else has put in FOIA requests. Those are exceptionally rare for the FAA. This guy is hearing about this from Washington, Matt, is what I'm saying. So no, he doesn't know who you are, but he knows that you don't sound crazy. And this is, why would the man spend all this time on this case? This guy is nervous.
Yeah, I agree with you there. I just said maybe later on he might determine something. I know he felt. I know how he must have felt when Elaine Douglas called and demanded 6.5 hours of tapes.
Well, you see, the thing is, they don't even that. Let me tell you what they hear from the public, to the extent that they do. They hear, "There's too much noise over my house." That's what they hear from the public.
The cracked toilets and that sort of thing from jet sonic booms.
That's right. Something fell out of, they don't hear inquiries like this big time. and people talking about sky sector and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
No, this guy's got to be nervous. It was obvious that he's done a hell of a lot of work, and there's probably more than just one guy that does this kind of work. Listening to Matt, you were dealing with the guy that they throw the tough cases at. Okay? This guy is smooth. Trust me. Listen, I'm going to leave you with that.
Okay.
I can, unless you can think of something else.
Well, I thought of one thing, but I forgot it already.
Oh, okay. Well, either way, I'm glad I made your acquaintance, and I'm also glad to see in all your notes that both MUFON and CUFOS think I'm okay.
Yeah, made me feel good too, because I'm a little leery about loaning out tapes when a guy tells me not to tape him.
But,
He didn't really tell me no, but he says, I don't know if I can tell you this, blah blah blah.
That's right.
And I'm not. If you listen to the tape, I'm not sure I even said I was going to go ahead and tape it. So,
Yeah,
but I do it anyway. I've just learned to do it.
I'll tell you, I don't mention the word tape. I just don't even start a conversation with that. But that's operator technique, and like I say, this stuff is pure gold because I got it here, and I'm going to be listening to it again.
Okay. All right.
With great care and working this out. But no, there was something up there. We don't know what it was. By Matt's own testimony, the witness is totally credible. FAA was worried enough, as they should have been, to have that guy call him up.
Yeah, I just thought of what I was going to suggest,
Uh-huh.
and I think we should all do it. We use the word UFO too much, and this puts up a flag right away. These guys are kooks, when they hear that word UFO. We need to go in there concerned, not that it was UFO, but that it was unidentified, and we have people, in the group that are concerned about unidentified aircraft too, because they're throwing us fits. There are planes flying around that don't have the proper lighting, and but there are objects up there that look like aircraft.
Well,
they're not flying saucers.
I have thought to myself that from time to time, and especially in recent years, that we're just spinning our wheels, doing the kind of thing we're doing right now, or maybe even recording these darn things, that the phenomenon is in charge.
Boy, it sure is.
And the phenomenon itself seems to me to be changing patterns somewhat into low-level flybys. We've had enough of those in my part of the country around here, beginning with the Hudson Valley
Oh, yeah.
stuff, and a wave of that stuff in northern Pennsylvania, and not too long ago, some of them in the Philadelphia area. So what I'm saying is that maybe the wisest thing is just to sit back and let the thing unfold by itself, because we haven't been very helpful. Another aspect I've been working on, and really one of the reasons I've gotten to know Mark Rodegar a little bit, is Roswell.